Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Sorry, we're a little late. We had a little technical glitch, but here we are. Today, I have a woman who needs no introduction, Dr. Kristin Kahle. Hi, Dr. K.
Hi.
So, just to introduce everyone to Dr. K, she is my business coach and on my advisory board here at Civility Partners. You are the author of 2 best-selling books. You've built several businesses. You're just an amazing woman who's focused on helping other women be successful in business. And thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. And don't forget to mention my 2 dogs are also on the advisory board.
Yes, they are.
Very important stuff to mention there.
Wait, I was looking at that this morning. Their titles are, hold on, Bark and Patrol Officer and Festivity Facilitator. So, yes.
Both of those are correct because my little girl likes to dress up for the holidays. So any holiday she is dressed up for.
Okay. So I was thinking this morning, what in the world am I going to ask you about? Because there's a bazillion ways this conversation could go. And I guess I want to just start with, you're a badass, Dr. K. How in the world did you, let me back up. The way, and I said this in my email this morning, the way that you give advice is so just like nonchalant. Like, you can do that. Why couldn't you? And, those of us who are still learning are like, but that feels hard. And you're just like, you can do it. And that's such a badass move. How did you get to be like this? That's my first question.
Well, I guess that I always wanted somebody to do that for me. So if I think back about, growing my career and growing my businesses, I had nobody that was mentoring me. I had nobody that was bringing me along. I had nobody that was badassing me and saying, you could go do this. I had all that little voice in my head, right? I call it the itty bitty shitty committee that's in my head that's telling me all the things I can't do. And I just decided that I'm always a yes. I love yes, right? My book is called Notivation: How to Use the Power of No to Make Your First $1 million. And that was because everybody told me no. So I just come up with ways that I can tell people yes, and they can believe it. So for me, I believe it when I say it. I believe it when I stand in your corner. I believe it when I'm your biggest cheerleader. And I'm always about saying yes.
Yeah, you definitely give some fantastic advice. And yeah, so just thinking of a personal story, you were telling me 2.5 years ago to systematize my sales process and have manage my proposals differently because I was spending 5 hours on them because they were custom and all this stuff. And you were like, no, just have a library and then somebody else can put it together and then you can just tweak it and away you go, as you love to say. And it took me 2.5 years for that to really click for me. And so let's talk. So that's all related to systems. So let's talk about that. How, I guess if you're a business owner watching, what are some of the first places you should start if you're focused on growth and having to systematize things?
Yeah, delegation to me is key for growing your business. And I think so many people are held back by growth because they don't know how to delegate or don't even know how to get out of their own way, which is tough, right? It's our business, it's our baby, it's our name, it's all those things that come along with the business. But I always say if you're hiring great people and they're coming to work for you and with you, you've hired them for a reason, and there's ways to delegate and become what I like to call air traffic controller, right? So you're now doing the things that are best in your swim lane. You're now staying in your swim lane and you're now delegating it, which is tough for a lot of people. It took me a while to get there as well. So it certainly doesn't happen overnight, and 2.5 years is a great way to get it going for sure. But certainly looking at ways that you can grow the business, knowing that you're hiring great people, knowing that you're bringing great people on. And even if you're not bringing great people on, you're at least building systems in order to bring great people on, right? So bringing the next person and the next person and building those systems so that somebody can step into that process that you've developed. To me, everything should be on a conveyor belt and a process that it has a handoff and it has a system and a process that is easy for anybody to pick up.
And I think that's your super secret, like, wizardry Definitely. I mean, you have a lot of topics that you're a wizard on, but systematizing things seems to come so easy for you. And it just the way you give advice, just do this and have this happen. And you're like, oh, okay, I didn't think about that.
And away you go, right? It's
Yeah,
always my favorite word, right? So
away the conveyor belt goes, and you're not on it because you delegated.
Well, and I always like to think about your customer journey, right? So if you think about your customer journey, your customers are touching 3 or 4 people in your business. And so I was a past athlete. And so I always think about a relay race, right? A person with a baton, they start the relay race and they go to the next person, and the next person starts the relay race, and so on. And each one of those people, when you hand a baton off, has a specific task that they're supposed to do. Run fast, run long, run over hurdles, hold the baton, like all of the things that get to the end to be able to pass the baton that you can measure. So really what ends up happening is did that person run the right leg? Did they do what they needed to do? Did we look at the time and say, yes, they did? Did they drop the baton? Did they keep the baton? It's the same thing as with business, right? So you have a customer journey that everybody has to follow as well. And I think what happens is us owners, we love to be the bottleneck. And so I think if we remove ourselves from that, our team will actually take the baton and we can just stand on the sidelines and be that coach with that stopwatch.
Yeah, yeah. And you love to also say people need to be in their swim lanes and you can't have systems functioning very well, right? If you got people crossing over swim lanes, yourself as the CEO included. And yeah, it's been a fascinating journey with you. What's some of the other
wait a second. Fascinating with like tears and crying.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. One thing I hate about you, Dr. K, is you're always right. And even if it's like, dang it, she said that 4 years ago, and yep, she sure was right. That's the thing, is you're just wicked smart when it comes to business, and the advice you give is just like always so spot on. And I know that's true for me. And I've been in several women's groups with you where everyone else is feeling the same. So it's not just my own experience. What if there's business owners listening who are solopreneurs and they really are thinking about hiring someone and they're kind of starting to get ready to scale, what's a good piece of advice for those listeners?
Yeah. So my first hire has always been my weakness, right? So I always talk about sort of what your hire should be. For me, it was always hiring at my weakness, because if I looked at all the tasks that I try to do in a day, it was all those tasks that were my weakness bucket, or the things that didn't bring me joy, or the things that, whatever words you want to put behind that I was rolling day after day after day. And then I thought, I don't want to balance a checkbook. I don't want to go into QuickBooks. I don't want to go on the bank account and do all that stuff. I might as well hire that out, because that will alleviate me to open me up to be able to do other things. Using that as an example, of course. So yeah. I think my first piece of advice is sort of be honest with yourself, right? You can't have strengths in everything. So look at what your weaknesses are, decide who you're going to hire, where you're going to hire, and then start bringing that person in, and be cognizant of the fact that you do need to delegate. They're never going to do it like you. They may do it better than you. They may do it worse than you, but it's never going to be like you're going to do it. And I always say you have to be comfortable with those things. So for me, if you're looking to hire your first hire, look true to yourself and see what your weakness is, number one.
Okay, that's a great point. And I feel like you've given this advice to me, and it probably rings true for most CEOs. One time you told me, Catherine, you just come in there and you shit on it and then you walk away.
I think what I call it is the dump and dive. You dump and then you dive out the door, right?
Yeah, like maybe if you just stayed out of it and let your people do things, then it would be better and you would not be creating chaos. So I suppose a lot of CEOs probably do create chaos by way of trying to bottleneck or control something that they have no business controlling. I know that I have been ordered to stay out of QuickBooks altogether because
I think we changed the password on you.
it. What so being able to, like your book, motivation, being told no all your life, and I of course read your book, and you were told no quite a lot as a kid, and I'm sure there was some, you're a girl, shh, be quiet,
Yep.
there as well. What's some advice you have for women who are hearing that, or any business owner who hears no a lot? How do you switch the paradigm to think, no, this good, you're telling me no, and that means I'm going to go and do it?
Yeah. So I talk about it in my book that, I didn't sort of embrace my dyslexia journey until I got a little bit older in my life. And, all through high school, I didn't know why I couldn't understand numbers. I didn't know why I couldn't understand all the things that I was basically changing either letters or numbers with. And so for me, I just decided to change the word no to on. So I just decided to change it myself. So move on, keep going on. Everything's on, right? So
Yeah.
to me, basically then moved to a yes. It doesn't mean that, banks didn't say no to me. It doesn't mean when I was started my business, credit cards didn't say no to me. All the things that sort of happen when you start your business. And I always like to say to people, right, you have a plan. You start with plan A, but there are 26 other letters in the alphabet. And certainly at that point, you have to decide how you're going to switch from plan A to plan B to plan K if you get to that point, right? And so I think, resilience, my mom always says to me, I'm Gumby. So I think, taking on a resilience environment and being able to bend and snap and do all the things I need to do in order to actually achieve my goal. And for me, the achieving of the goal was making my business successful, or selling my business, or getting to a dollar point that I wanted to grow the business to. And now where, I've turned my focus to is all the other women who have all these other businesses, making their businesses successful as well.
And you are doing that for sure. So if anybody listening is aware of EO, Dr. K has one of the highest graduation rates from EOA, maybe the highest graduation rate. So ordering people around, as long as you follow your advice, you'll be okay.
Yeah, but Kat, come on, it's with love too.
I know.
There's a little bit of pain, but a lot of love.
I know. And that's the thing. You have this weird talent of like bossing your clients around. Like, you have to do this, but it does really come with a lot of love. And we joke that, we're going to get beat up, but it's because we want to be there. We want you to beat us up because we want to learn and grow and build, and to have you as a coach who just sees, here's the challenge, here's how you fix it, and go and do that. And like I said before, it just comes across so like, you can do that. And anytime someone pushes back, you're like, why not? Of course you can't, and it's just like, okay, she says it's easy, I'm gonna go and do it.
I guess, there's those little devils, right? You got the angel devil and you've got the devil, right? You got the two things. I guess I'm sort of sitting in the middle, but just being that little devil and little cheerleader all at the same time.
Yeah, you are. So tell us about your journey, because you have a very successful tech firm, and so women in tech, and you weren't a tech person. You found a hole and decided to fix it. Tell the journey.
Yeah, so this was my third business. So the other two, I had one in my 20s, one in my 30s, and this is my business in my 40s. And like all brilliant ideas, I had the idea in the shower while I was washing my hair that I was going to change my company from a service-based business to a technology company. And I ran out to Barnes & Noble to look for how to start a technology company for dummies. And it doesn't exist, right? There's no like, here's how you do it, and here's how you talk to developers, and here's all the things you did. Yeah. So if I think about all the things I did wrong, which I've got a list and pages of all the things that I did wrong, managing the project, hiring out the project, not overseeing the project. I mean, I've got lots of things that you throw money at, and then you throw money away at that. So ultimately, what I looked at what's the issue with development and developers. And the biggest issue that I know is that nobody's on time or on budget. Mm-hmm. So then I decided to create my own way of doing development. And that was really creating my own bench of developers, having some project scope and scenarios, letting the developers tell me how long it was going to take them to do it, and then have a financial incentive either plus or minus based on the time that they actually could get the development out. So if they were in advance, they got a bonus. If they were declined, or they didn't they didn't hit the date, then it was a financial deficit to them because they were telling me how to do that. So what happened was any of the developers that started working with me actually were really great developers and are great developers that achieve on time and on budget and get bonuses along the way, because I want them to be part of their craft. I want them to build their business and do all of the things that I need them to do inside of a certain timeline. So I think I just sort of shifted the way that development work happens. And I think part of it was because I'm not a developer. I don't know anything about development. I can look at code right now and tell you some things, and I know probably more than I should know, which I'm proud of because
stay out of it, Dr. K.
but I'm proud to say that I understand it and I created the process. So back to your point, I saw the issue we were having, and I created a different kind of environment for developers and then created a different kind of process.
That's a great model for any vendor. You're the expert. That's why I'm hiring you. And you're telling me it should take this long. So I expect that that's when it will be done. Don't
and by the way, if you're giving me a date of when it's going to be done, you should be able to stand by that date of when it's going to be done. And if you can stand by it, you get a bonus. And if you can't, then it's a deficit. So I start taking money away. So it became sort of this conversation that some developers shied away from, because of course they couldn't ever hit those deadlines. And some developers who could hit those deadlines or achieve those deadlines really loved it because of the fact that they were getting now additional bonuses.
Yeah. Did you ever have, if you had a developer who was hitting the success and then had a deficit because they missed something, did they walk away or did they try harder the next time?
No. So we have a lot of developers that are knocking on our door to work with us. We have a bench of about 70 developers who just come to us and want to work with us. And so we find that we've got the same development team that's been achieving all the development things that we need to have done, because we release stuff every single day and we're always striving to improve our technology as well. So we find that what happens is that people are running to us and saying, hey, I can hit a deadline. Hey, I can get this done. Hey, I want a bonus. We love those type of people. So we do and have filled a bench since then of developers that have that type of philosophy.
And that's a great example of employer branding, where if you want people lining up asking you to work there, not the other way around. And
absolutely. And I'd like to say that we treat them fair, and obviously we want them to tell us how long the project's going to take, not the other way around. We're not the experts. They are the experts for sure.
Right. Okay, so let's shift to marketing really quick, because I know you've got lots of great marketing ideas. And so for any of us solopreneur service business out there who are listening, give us a couple tidbits of marketing advice.
Oh, gosh. So, how I built most of my businesses are really in a partnership environment. So I don't love to go after just one business, one client here at a time. I love to go after 10 or 20 or 200. So I found that having strategic partnerships for me has helped us grow dramatically because of the fact that we're going after 200 or 400 or 800 or how many clients that come with that book of business. So I think for me, we have two different kind of clients, right? We've got our clients that are our internal clients, and then we've got our strategic partnership clients. And so I guess my biggest piece of advice is, figure out the best niche that works for you. If you are in a growth environment, you do want to look at ways that you can get in more clients than less clients, right? So a strategic partnership, like a payroll company or an HR company or a benefits brokerage company or whatever sort of fits in your niche, figure out those folks, approach them with a strategic partnership idea. And then it's obviously a win-win for everybody. So for me, that would be the number one goal, is to go after those strategic partnerships.
See, as you're talking, I'm thinking, I got to get Jenny to do some stuff.
I already gave Jenny a list. She already knows how to get a hold of me.
I'm like, what strategic partnerships are we working on? And I really appreciate having you in my life. Yeah, I definitely know you're in my corner and you want me to succeed and you want everyone on my team to succeed. And my business looks so different now than it did from when I started working with you, and even looks very different now than it did 6 months ago because of a lot of your advice.
And
Thank you.
and you've grown so fast. I couldn't be more proud. I'm like a mama bear,
I
right?
know.
I love when everybody starts blossoming and starts spouting Kristinisms, right? So
Yeah.
when I hear people start quoting me, it sort of makes me feel proud.
Yeah, I was thinking, what's another one of yours? No agenda, no attenda. So if
Oh
you're
yeah,
the
yeah.
CEO, people have to come to you with an agenda, and you air traffic control. I remember that whole thing too.
Yeah, Sam's got one. It's do it, document it, delegate it. Do it, document it, delegate it. I was like, oh, there's my 3Ds. Okay.
Yep, I love it. All right, so we're almost out of time. Give everyone one last, Dr. K-ism or Kristinism. What's one good piece of advice for all of us to walk away with this morning to feel ready to go?
Gosh, for 2024, for the growth of your business, find somebody that you can put in your corner. I would say just find somebody who can be your cheerleader through really low lows and really high highs. The entrepreneur journey is tough, and it really is challenging, and it really is sometimes lonesome. And so I would probably say if you're looking for somebody, I would make sure that you are really getting somebody in your corner. You're really getting somebody to become your advocate and to just really be your sounding board.
Yes. And the first time that you and I met, I had a lot of personal stuff going on and I bawled my eyes out. I feel like you're probably like, oh no, I don't know if I can.
No, that I was like, oh, this is going to be a challenge. This is going to be fun.
Let's do it. Yeah. I was like, the world is ending. And look at me now. So thank you for being my cheerleader in my corner. And everyone listening, you can obviously get a hold of Dr. K here at her LinkedIn. And thank you again, Dr. K. I just appreciate you so much.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right. Bye, everyone.